video, we're taking a look at some Destiny PvP footage, and of course, what I think about the new patch. Shouldn't be a very long video, but I want to give you guys a bit of a interpretation of what I think is going on in the patch notes, and of course, what they may do in the upcoming patch. As they said, this is kind of like a two-parter patch. The first patch, they're going to take a look at a few of the balancing issues, and then in the next patch, it's going to be a little bit larger and potentially a little bit more encompassing of some of the factors in PvP, some of the most unbalanced things, and some of the more potentially overpowered things. So we're going to see a few changes in the future of Destiny PvP in terms of balancing, and I think it's pretty awesome. So to start off, the Titan class got a little bit of a nerf in Unbreakable. And if you don't know what Unbreakable is, it's on the Defender subclass, and it basically is where you get the overshield for an extended period of time, and it tends to recharge. Apparently there was an issue with the perk granting more agility than intended, and I did notice this as I do play Defender a lot. I noticed every single time I had Unbreakable on and I was getting that overshield, I felt a lot faster than I should have been. Now that they've toned it back a little bit, you definitely move more in line with the other perk sets, and I find that completely fine. They changed the Warlock, Brimstone, stuff like that. Perk can now be active if the player is airborne. Honestly, I don't know the Warlock subclass at all, so I'm not the one for that. But here are the good ones that I want to go over, and here are the things that you may be very, very interested in. And this is the weapon balancing that has kind of afflicted a lot of the PvP. It's turned me off to the PvP initially because of the fact that I found it to be incredibly unbalanced and sort of crutchy, if I'm to use that word. But I'm going to go through this and give you my opinion on this. So to say the least, go ahead and start with the auto rifles. Base damage decreased by 2%. That's not a huge decrease, but it is sort of a game changer. It basically reduces the Suros pre-patch was a 4-shot. Now it's about a 6 or a 7-shot depending. I believe it's a 6 headshot, 8 body shot. They reduced the precision damage multiplier from 1.5 to 1.25. So that's a large increase. And then they messed around stability depending on the weapon value. Basically, I believe you have a higher stability on the weapon, say if you take the Suros, it will not be as stable as it was pre-patch. They reduced it between 4% and 17%, which honestly I'm okay with. The ARs are still very good in PvP. It's not like they completely nerfed them to oblivion and you can't use them anymore, but they are not the dominating factor in PvP anymore, which kind of irritated me because I really dislike the fact that they gave everybody the Suros regime via Xur, and PvP since that point was pretty much just an AR fest, and I really dislike that because I did not use the Suros. I found it to be incredibly crutchy. That's just my opinion though. Don't take that the wrong way. If you did use the Suros, more power to you. I just like to play a certain way, and I dislike it when I get killed by the same gun again and again and again and again and again and again and again, and it happens a lot. It sucks, but whatever, you know, what can you do? But going on to it, hand cannons and air accuracy now increased. Now I really didn't have a problem with this one personally because I do have the last word and I've used it, and I've noticed that the last word's accuracy in air is actually pretty damn good. Now it could be because that weapon has a special perk on it, that its hip fire is already more accurate. But if you are a hand cannon connoisseur, if you will be noticing a large increase in that in-air accuracy, meaning you can kind of bunny hop a little bit more and get that ability to shoot down on people, which is pretty awesome, not gonna lie. Pretty damn awesome. So hopping into it, the scout rifles have seen a base damage increase by 6%. Damage versus alien combatants, which is really large by the way, is increased by 6 to 25% based on tier. So basically, the Vision of Confluence, I think, crits for like somewhere like 800 now on mobs in Vault of Glass if you are at their level. If you're above their level, I think it still does the same damage. So it's pretty damn awesome. I'm going to say it hits very hard. It's very viable to use now. I honestly really enjoyed it. I've used it prior to the pre-patch and I did fine with it, but now I've seen a huge difference that running a full 300 damage Vision or a full 300 damage scout rifle is pretty much one of the best things you can do, especially in Vault of Glass, just by the nature of the enemies and how they play against you. I've had a lot of people tell me the same thing, that they really enjoy the scout rifles now a lot more so, especially in PvP. PvP scout rifles now are much more viable. They are not the overpowered essence that the Suros kind of brought, but they still pretty much dominate. I'd say I use the hell out of them now, and they are still a 4-shot. They were a 4-shot In the pre-patch, it was a little less inconsistent, but they were still a 4-shot. It's better than there being a 3-shot in the beta. If you guys played the beta or the alpha, from what I remember of the beta basically made the scout rifles a 3-shot headshot, and that's overpowered. I think no weapon in the game should kill you that fast, regardless of what it is, unless it's a sniper rifle. But that is something that I guess is up for opinion, but I think the scout rifle patch is something that makes you as a user of a scout rifle and me as a user of a scout rifle, I love the scout rifles, you're definitely going to be enjoying yourself in PvP much more. I love it. Hopping into the next one, of course, is the shotguns. Now, they decreased base damage at maximum range, fall off by 20%, which basically they shorten the range on the shotguns, so you're not going to have certain shotguns ranging you. I've still noticed that the shotguns are still very, very powerful. This sort of nerf is more psychological, I'd say, because I still get killed pretty much by shotguns anyway. Doesn't really matter on range. So keep that in mind. You're still going to get killed by shotguns, but you're not going to see as many people running around in PvP. At least I haven't. I played basically all day yesterday PvP and the day prior after the patches to take a look at it, and I haven't really noticed myself dying from that as much. The rest of the issues in the patch are, I would say, insignificant, in my opinion. Now, may not be insignificant for you, but of course, you can check out the full patch. But I just want to let you guys know that PvP is much more balanced now, in my opinion. There are no super dominant guns. The Mythic class got a huge damage nerf, which is awesome. It's still semi-viable, though, in PvP because of the headshot damage multiplier that went from 1.25 to 1.5, although a lot of people are not necessarily crying. I don't think crying, well, yeah, crying is probably the right word. I'd say a lot of people are upset on the forums. Personally, I don't care. I don't think any weapon should be the end-all, be-all because you beat raid content on hard. I beat raid content on hard, and I don't think I'm entitled to immediately eliminate all of my opponents in PvP. I think PvP should be more skill-based and gear-based. That's just my opinion. I do think that they should separate the two. They should find a way to separate PvE content gear and PvP content gear. Kind of how they do it in World of Warcraft, where you need certain gear to sort of move on to the next tiers of gameplay and become more powerful. I don't know if they're going to figure out a way to do that. They said they were going to take a look at it. I've been reading Reddit, and they said they've been taking a look at a lot of the possibilities in balancing PvE and PvP. But all in all, I think this is a great patch. I think Destiny is moving in the right direction, and I think this is exactly what Bungie needs to do if they want to keep longevity in their game. I know a lot of people are sort of reaching that time period where they're not as stoked about Destiny anymore. You know, they're like kind of riding out the hype train a little bit, and they're kind of feeling a little bit of boredom. Personally, I get on now to just do my dailies with the Vanguard rep just to level up my stuff and then play PvP. I find PvP incredibly enjoyable. If you guys are enjoying PvP and you want to come play with me, feel free to send me a friend request on the Xbox Uno. I'm always down to play with anybody. Thank you guys very much for this, and I hope you guys are enjoying all the videos I put out. I love you all very much. I'm out. Bye-bye.